Yes, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back on this beautiful Saturday night, the 10th of January, 6 minutes past 11 p.m. East African time, when I do come to you live. Apologies, I could not make it for our morning broadcast, like I pre-warned you. My anticipation was that I would be back on time to do it, but unfortunately that was not the case. So we ended up not doing it at all. I got home back so late in the afternoon, and I realized we just couldn't do it at the time. So, but better next time. So, anyways, it's a pleasure to be back here with you. I hope you're enjoying AFCON. I hope you're enjoying the FA Cup. I hope you're enjoying the Spanish La Liga, the German Bundesliga, and every action, little piece of action that there is for you guys to be enjoying. Good evening, LFC. How are you doing, my brother? It's a pleasure to always see you around. I hope you're doing well. I hope what has been keeping you busy over the last couple of weeks has sort of withered, that if it were a storm that you've managed to pull through that. Yeah, can't stay. I'm watching Egypt versus Cote d'Ivoire. Completely understandable. We are following the events from the same game, which is 2-1 at halftime, with Egypt in the lead against the reigning champions of the Africa Cup of Nations, with goals from Omar Mamouche and Remy Rabia in the 4th minute and 32nd minutes, respectively, while Ahmed Obo El Fatoua scored an own goal in the 40th minute to pull one back for the reigning champions of Ivory Coast. So apologies on that internet glitch, but like I was saying, action is proceeding as planned for the second half there. Between those two sides. Egypt are the most decorated team in as far as African football is concerned, with as many as 7 titles of the AFCON to their name. We know that Ivory Coast equally have 3 from 1992 to 2015 and 2023. Our school started back, and I haven't had any time to join. Completely understandable. I completely understand, but it's all good. I just hope that you're doing okay during the times when you're absent. Usually, I do get concerned when our regulars are absent on the channel, because we are so accustomed to having them on the channel that their absence does breed a bit of concern, in as common courtesy to the way you would expect things to be going. So yeah, we'll be following the events from that game between Cote d'Ivoire and Egypt for the purposes of our broadcast. Yeah, for now, it remains 2-1 in favor of Egypt. Egypt will be fighting tooth and nail to make it to the semi-finals. And if they do advance to the semi-finals, their candidate is already chosen in Senegal. Senegal are waiting between who comes through between Egypt and Ivory Coast. The other semi-final is already set up, as you can see in our headline, that Nigeria are through to set up a contest with Morocco, who are the hosts. Morocco, they are being suspect of getting certain advantages during the course of the AFCON. Particularly, there's been 3 incidents that are making the rounds to the effect of what is deemed to at least should have been penalties against them. But for me, the most blatant one was the one against Brandon Mbeumo in yesterday's game, as they knocked out Cameroon by 2-0. I thought I thought Cameroon should have had a penalty awarded in that game for a foul on Brandon Mbeumo. That's as blatant as a penalty you would have. Again, in the game against Tanzania, that for me is a penalty. There's no reason for the defender to be pushing. There's no need whatsoever for the defender to be pushing the opponent, even though you think it's a minor push. There's no need for him to be doing that in the area. Then another incident was against, I'm trying to recall, who was it against? but there's another penalty call that again VAR did not at least take interest in or keen interest in as to the effect of Morocco being in action. Now, even without nitpicking, I do know for a fact that sometimes, and I've said this before, whether in whatever league, in whatever competition, that when you're on course to become a champion, or if you're going to go deep in a championship, or or during the course of a season, during the course of a campaign, during the course of a competition, there are certain decisions that you will get. There are other decisions you won't get. Some will go in your favor, others will not go in your favor. There are decisions that would have gone against you that will not be called. And yet on another day, those same decisions would have been called and they would have been right. So I do not think we would have a contestation in terms of, for example, if any of those penalties would have been awarded, I do not think we would have contested those decisions, But because they were not given, then they become subject to whether they were 50-50s. Zamira, hi Zamira, good to have you on the broadcast. How are you doing? Where are you joining us from on this beautiful Saturday evening? I do pray that you're fine. So we are following the events in the game between Egypt and Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast, as you may call it, in the Africa Cup of Nations at the quarterfinals. The other results were already confirmed with yesterday, Morocco beating up against Cameroon by 2-0. Brahim Diaz among those on target as Morocco got their results against Cameroon with Ismail Saibari. Yes, Ismail Saibari, the other goal scorer in that game, to ensure that they won the game by 2-0. Zamira says, my name is Hakan. I use my mom's account. Oh, hi, Hakan. I hope. Oh, meanwhile, it's a beautiful goal for Egypt, and it's 3-1. They lead 3-1. Hakan, I hope you have the right age to be on the broadcast. Sometimes, I don't know, usually it's hard to judge or to tell if somebody is being truthful to you. But a couple of times I've had followers on the channel who say, yeah, I'm using my mom's phone, I'm using my brother's phone, but this is my name and I'm this years old, And in my experience, like I said, it's hard to tell if they are being honest. But when somebody tells you they are 10 years old, within a certain age, you sort of feel that maybe what are they doing online? Is it a little too late? Are they allowed to be on the forum? That kind of thing, in a parental concern kind of a thing. But yeah, Akan, good to have you, and I hope you. Now, I don't know whether you're a he or a she, but yeah, Egypt are leading by 3-1. Looks like they are on course to set up another contest against Senegal, which means at the semifinals we'll have a replay of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations final. Remember, that was between Senegal and Egypt, and that ended in a goalless draw after extra time. And I think, yes, Senegal won it 4-2 on post. I'm a he. Okay, good to know. Apologies on the internet glitch, guys. I expect this to happen. Although now is not the time I expect it to happen. Speaking of internet glitches, in the coming days, particularly take note of Wednesday and possibly Thursday, going all into through the weekend. I do not know whether we'll be in position to make broadcasts. Reason being, their reports, internet could be shut down in Uganda. So in the event that that is the case and you do not see me online, please bear in mind, on Thursday, the 15th of January 2026, Uganda will be going to the polls to elect their leader in the president and their leaders at parliamentary level. So in a barbaric move, under a shadow of democracy or whatever impression it may have of itself, there are reports that government could make a move to turn off the internet. They've done it before. They did it in 2021. So I wouldn't be surprised or in other words, it's an expectation that I do have. My only hope is that it's not as it's not long, but yeah, that is what could possibly happen should you not see me here. You say I live in America. Oh, what part of America do you live in, Hakan? What state of the USA do you come from? So yeah, Egypt continue with their dominancy through this game. That goal scored by Mohamed Salah in the 52nd minute. I think that is his third, possibly, of the tournament, with 2 assists already. I stand to be corrected on those facts, but I think those should be his numbers. Ademola Lookman leads the assist sheet with 4, while Sadio Mane has 3. So Brahim Diaz has 5 goals. Victor Osimhen of Nigeria has 3 goals. Ademola Lookman has 3 goals, and a couple of other players in there. So we know that this all started off yesterday when Senegal beat up against Mali by 1-0. That single goal in that game was enough. Scored by Ilman Ndiaye of Everton was enough to make sure to see Senegal knock out a 10-man Mali, for whom Yves Bissouma was sent off in that game. And then subsequently, Morocco, like I said, Brahim Diaz and Ismail Saibari squad for Morocco to knock out Cameroon, the 5-time champions of Cameroon. And then earlier on today, Nigeria were at it as they knocked out Algeria, beating them by 2-0. Goals are from Victor Osimhen and then Ako Adams in the 47th minute and the 57th minutes, respectively, there. To knock out Algeria, the 2019 champions. And remember not last year, but in the previous edition of 2023 that was played in January 2024, Nigeria made it to as far as the final, and they lost to Ivory Coast by 2-1. William Trost Ekong scoring for Nigeria, while Frank Kessie scored for Ivory Coast, and then Sebastian Haller also scored the winning goal for the champions then. So that is what did transpire. So Nigeria, again, it's been a highly contested quarterfinal amongst the giants of Africa, with Mali only being the only team in the quarterfinals that have not won the competition, and then all the others have won the competition before. Morocco have won it once. That was in 1976. Algeria won it in 2019. Ivory Coast have won it 3 times, Egypt 7 times, Senegal have won it once in 2021. So really, and Nigeria have won it 3 times. So really, that's the kind of picture that you are getting from the quarterfinals. And then marching on to the semifinals, like I said, Senegal waiting for Egypt, literally, if the result remains the same as is, because they are leading by 3-1 against Cote d'Ivoire. And then the other will be between Morocco and Nigeria. In terms of our predictions on the channel here, our prediction was that Nigeria would make it through at the expense of Algeria, contrary to what Pedri's prediction was. I wish Pedri was here with us to make his own contribution, or to give us what he made sense of that particular game. And then our prediction was for Morocco to get the better of Cameroon on the day, and indeed they got the better of them. Our prediction was for Senegal to get the better of Mali. That did happen. Contrary to our thought, I thought Ivory Coast would come on top of Egypt, but it looks like the reverse is true. So I think out of the 4 predictions for who will make it to the semifinals, we only got one wrong. That's the voter for Ivory Coast at the expense of Egypt. So beautiful stuff going on there. Anyways, today you did not have a Premier League football. You had the FA Cup going on. So that's why I even when we did miss our broadcast, even though we had so many things to discuss, I wasn't desperate to get us here. Why? Because majority of the action that we discussed that you enjoy the most, as far as our discussions are concerned, you had no Premier League football. But in the Spanish La Liga, Real Oviedo shared the spoils with Real Betis in a 1-1 draw, while Villarreal beat up against Deportivo Aves by 3-1. Girona beat up against Osasuna by 1-0. While as we speak, 19 minutes of game time played, Valencia and Elche are still goalless. In the German Bundesliga, Heidenheim shared the spoils with Cologne in a 2-2 draw, while Freiburg beat up against Hamburg SV by 2-1. St. Pauli and against RB Leipzig, that game was postponed. And then Werder Bremen as well against Hoffenheim. That game was postponed, while Union Berlin and Mainz shared the spoils in a 2-2 draw. Bayer Leverkusen were thrashed by VfB Stuttgart by 4-1. In the Italian Serie A, Como and Bologna shared the spoils in a 1-1 draw, while Udinese and Pisa also shared the points in a 2-2 draw. AS Roma beat up against Sassuolo by 2-0, as we had predicted. And then Atlanta are leading by 0-0 against Torino. That game is in the 37th minute. Of course, the majority of the other action in as far as England is concerned, or the UK, we had the FA Cup with Leicester City knocking out Charlton Town. Everton were knocked out by Sunderland 3-0 on post-match penalties that followed a 1-1 draw in normal time. Macclesfield FC did beat knockout Crystal Palace, beating them by 2-1, while Wolverhampton Wanderers thrashed Shrewsbury Town by 6-1. Bournemouth were knocked out by Burton Albion, who beat them by 5-0, while Burnley thumped Millwall 5-1. Doncaster Rovers were knocked out by Southampton, who beat them by 3-2, while Fulham knocked out Middlesbrough, beating them by 3-1. Ipswich Town got the better of Blackpool, beating them by 2-1, while Manchester City were the biggest winners at this stage of the competition when they put 10 past Exeter City. I'm surprised even Exeter managed to get, a goal out of that one. But Alien, Lodri, then Doyle, Hayes, Fetiz, Walter, those were 2 own goals. But Lodri and Alien scored for Manchester City to set it 4-0 at halftime. And then in the second half, you had Rico Royce score with Anton Semenyo providing the first contribution of a goal in the Manchester City jersey when provided that assist. While moments later, about 5 minutes later, he scored his own with Brian Cheki providing the assist. Tijan Briendas also squad, as well as Nico O'Reilly, and then you had Aido squad with David Mukasa providing the assist, while Rico Royce was also on the score sheet for Manchester City. Beach is the one that scored what turned out to be a mere consolation for Exeter City against Manchester City. So Man City do match on. Then Newcastle needed penalties that proceeded a 3-3 draw in normal time against AFC Bournemouth to knock out Bournemouth 7-6 on post-match penalties. Harvey Barnes was at it. Remember, he scored a brace over the weekend as they beat Leeds United by 4-3. Anthony Gordon with a penalty, scoring, but it was goalless at halftime. Then Harvey Barnes, Anthony Gordon's penalty, and those were the goal scorers for Newcastle in the second half, while Alex Scott and David Brooks scored for Bournemouth. And then in extra time, you had Harvey Barnes scored to make it 3-2, while Marcus Tavernier scored in the second minute of stoppage time of extra time to make it 3-3. And then they went into post-match penalties, and Newcastle advanced 7-6 on penalties. Okay. Then Brentford knocked out Sheffield Wednesday, who they beat by 2-0, while Stoke City beat Coventry by 1-0. Bristol City beat Watford 5-1. Cambridge got knocked out at the expense, by Birmingham City, who beat them by 3-2, while Grimsby Town beat up against Weston-super-Mare by 3-2. Tottenham Hotspur were knocked out by Aston Villa, who beat them by 2-1. Those goals are for Aston Villa, scored by Emi Buendia and Morgan Rogers, while Tottenham's only consolation was scored by Wilson Odegaard in the second half. A very, very highly contested fixture that was. In France, they were also playing the Coupe de France trophy, or competition, so you did not have the French Ligue 1 ongoing. As we speak, the game is in the 66th minute. and Egypt are still leading by 3-1. So that means you're not missing plenty of that. In case you are following the conversation. Pedri says terrible Algeria are out. I had just talked about you a couple of minutes ago, saying I wished you had been here to tell us what your impressions were of the game, for which I know you had predicted that Algeria would go through. You wished them well. You wanted to have a contest of the North African derby between Morocco and Algeria, but that did not, come to a pass, and it will be Morocco against Nigeria. You say very, very sad. I think the game we're going to have between Morocco and Nigeria at the semi-final is, for me, the best game we would have had for a final, in my humble opinion. I feel it's the best game we would have had for a final. Now, no offense to Senegal, no offense to Egypt, but given how the two teams have impressed upon us during the course of this tournament, it would have set up to be a very, very interesting final. Nonetheless, even at the semi-final, we still want those big fixtures. We still want those big contests. And it's nothing short of what we are going to get. Now, as we speak, Egypt are setting themselves up to face off Senegal. Like I said, it will be a repeat of the 2021, AFCON final. A boring, goalless draw in normal time. I hope this time around it will be different. Algeria barely even competed with Nigeria. Nigeria were too nonchalant. They didn't even put a 5% effort. Nigeria won by basically barely even trying. So again, for me, when it comes to the semi-final, the only advantage Morocco will come in that fixture with is merely being the hosts. Otherwise, I think Nigeria will go toe-to-toe with them. I think, or at least I anticipate, because that game will be played on Wednesday. And I do hope, Jesus Christ. Now, this is what reminds me. Perhaps I should have maybe subscribed for my TV. But anyway, it is what it is. It's unsubscribed for, given that the internet may be shut down. I don't know if we'll even get the opportunity to watch these games, for some of us that are internet dependent. But we'll see. We'll try our best and see if we can have access to these games. So for me, I feel it will be a very highly contested fixture. I think it could be a high-scoring fixture. By that, I mean maybe Nigeria win it 3-2 or vice versa. That kind of game is what I do expect. You say Ako Adams' goal was still good. Indeed, it was brilliant. How do you have the nerves to score a goal like this in such a competition? We've seen some really, really incredible goals or nice goals. El Kabi over Morocco has given us some, bicycle kicks. And that goal was equally as good. And yeah, that means, by the way, Manchester United will be receiving back Brani Mbomo. Looks like they are on course to welcome back Amadou Diallo. The funny thing about AFCON is oftentimes you're praying for certain countries to win games of football. Really, fans of their respective clubs overseas, whether in Spain, whether in France, whether in Germany, whether in the UK, are praying for their players that are at AFCON to return. That's the bit of a funny part there. I don't think that there would have been many, let's say, Man United fans who would have been pained that Cameroon got knocked out. I think they would rather have been happy that Brani Mbomo is returning home. And same applies for this particular case with Egypt leading 3-1 against Cote d'Ivoire. That some will be happy that Amadou Diallo is going to return, as opposed to being sad that his country has been knocked out. You say, I hope the final will be Senegal versus Morocco. Wow, what a game that equally would be. what a game that will be. But also, a contest between Nigeria and Senegal would equally be a good one. However, we would not see many goals because Senegal are good of playing the kind of game of that can go with safety first kind of game. They can sort of suffocate you out with their kind of game. But yeah, that's it. On there, okay. All right. Pedro, you're saying, however, what? Anyway, we're still 3-1 in favor of. Oh, there's a goal for Ivory Coast. It's 3-2. Looks like we are not done here yet. We are not done here yet. It appears we are not done here yet. Oh, come on. Serve it to me. Pedro says, however, I have to mention the complete disgrace Algeria experienced from the most evil referee I've ever seen. A human disgrace to Africa, the most one-sided referee ever, disgusting management of the game. Okay, that's Pedro's assessment of the match official in regards to how he handled the game. Why is Sangare laughing as if he's won the title? Every moment in football ought to be celebrated. Some more than others. For some, I'll give you an example. A player will score a goal when they're 3 down or 4-0 down, and will celebrate it. Why? Because that goal means something to him at an individual level and very little at the team level, especially when you're that many goals down. So, but that goal, they celebrate it because it gives them a bit of hope that this contest is far from done. It was scrappy. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't none of that. A set piece play kind of, goal, ball to the back end of the post, headed back in front of goal. The goalkeeper does not deal with it, and somehow they scramble it into the back of the net, and it's 3-2. So, wow. So, anyways, Guela Doe is the goal scorer for that goal. But you ought to celebrate those moments because they give you hope, they give you encouragement. And that's what Ibrahim Sangare is, and also trying to motivate his teammates to sort of push on, to push on. Every time you score a goal, imagine even if you remember that game between Fulham and Manchester City? Every time Fulham scored, it finished 5-4. Every time Fulham scored, they gained that hope that, it's not yet done. You remember the final between Argentina and France for the World Cup 2022. Banaze, is it Bena Zelafat or Bena Zelfat says hi. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And if I'm wrong, please forgive me for the mispronunciation. But usually because the art names are all combined, I may struggle to, try and pronounce them. But Bena, good to have you on the broadcast. Kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel. But thank you so much for, finding the time to dedicate, a bit of time to us. Ivory Costa players looking unimpressed by the Egyptian goalkeeper El Mohamed are going down and seeking treatment, and for what they think is El Shanawi, the, in what they consider to be just a time wasting tactic. But they ought to cool down the tempers just a little bit, to to find their footing, to find their composure, because they are under the most pressure. When you have the lead, you're under the most pressure to keep that lead. You're under the most pressure to keep that lead. So yeah. Anyways, guys, for those of you that have spare time to go over to our video section and watch our recent 2 videos that we put out last week, thank you so much for contributing to that. Keep doing more. For those that go to our live broadcasts long after they've ended and you watch them, we do not take your love and support for granted. So thank you so much as well. But yeah, Mohamed Salah out there dishing out instructions, trying to galvanize his team to keep pushing and advance to the semi-finals. I think the referee was telling Shanawi that whatever time you may waste here will be the clock is being stopped. So we'll have to play it anyway. Even Wesand, the Aston Villa manager, Patrice Motsepe, out there in the stands. That's the CAF president. You say I have a YouTube channel. I have 56 million subscribers on my channel. Really? Come on. Baneza, what's the name of the channel? What's the name of the channel? Do let me know. I could, so that I can check it out. What's the name of the channel? Bena Zelfat. Because the one that appears under under a username similar to yours has about 25 subscribers. But I hope you're doing okay with your channel. I mean, 56 million subscribers, that's a dream for every YouTuber that has below that. I've seen Mark Hayes of MK PhD. I've seen Mr. Who is the Boss push towards those numbers. People like Mr. Beast have, of course, already surpassed those numbers. So that's really, really impressive. And then Cristiano Ronaldo joined YouTube and blew everywhere. Every YouTuber that ever lived out of the water, with how quickly his channel was subscribed to, and gained the kind of following that ordinarily YouTubers take years to sort of to build, and that's the difference. That's the difference. When you set up a channel, when you already have a name for yourself. So he has about 77 million subscribers. And I mean, that's just impressive. What he did, remarkable. But yeah, so guys, you're not missing much. The game is still at 3-2 with Egypt leading. They are trying to keep their leads. Amadou Diallo hoping to inspire his side, Ivory Coast, into a comeback so that they can stay in the competition. Now, there are reports that Nigerian players have threatened not to play the semi-final game against Morocco unless they are paid their allowances. And apparently, while speaking about it, Wilfred Ndidi has said that if it comes to that, at least he will pay the players out of his own pocket. to ensure that players honor their game. Come on. The channels with that kind of name, or the channel with that kind of name, has 68 subscribers. The one that I could find, Bena, it has about 68 subscribers. But if that's the one, I wish you the best of luck. I wish you well. I wish you well. Just, be consistent and persistent. So yeah. So is that the one? Because I'm still trying to look for the one with 56 million subscribers. So correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys remember the famous DRC fan who was always standing in the stadium and doing that, raising his hand up to make the impression of Patrice Lumumba, former leader in the DRC Congo. According to some online sources, he has been gifted. Lumumba has received a car for a gift from the president of DRC Congo. That's President Felix Tshisekedi there, and it appears to be a jeep. I mean, that's impressive. That's as luck. That's the beauty of football. The president apparently will meet him soon for a one-on-one conversation after his impressive job at AFCON. You see, the thing about doing certain things that are unique to you as an individual at a tournament like this is that you represent not just yourself, but the entire country. You sort of sell the country, you sort of market the entire country. And the thing that this guy was doing, according to this source, is called Lumumba VA. Now, he got the chance to meet the CAF president. That's Patrice Motsepe, He got the chance to meet him. And now he's apparently been gifted a car and may get the opportunity to meet his president. Now, whether he likes him as an individual or not, that's a whole different story. But I thought as a fan, he represented his country really, really well. Then, okay. In as far as Ugandan football is concerned, our star player, Alan Okello, formerly at KCCA, had a stint in Egypt and then returned to Vipers. Alan Okello did make a move to Tanzania's Young Africans. So very impressive move for Alan Okello, and I do wish him all the best in his endeavors. But more importantly, apparently he's coming close to one of the most expensive sales in Ugandan football, in as far as transfers are concerned. Apparently, the deal is worth $300,000, which comes in at $1 billion something Uganda shillings. So he has joined Young Africans Sports Club of Tanzania, of the Tanzanian Premier League. He does leave Vipers as the second most expensive sale, following Farouk Mia. Remember, Farouk Mia left the club, I think, was it around 2016 or 2017 thereabout? He left Vipers in a deal that was reported to be at the time about $400,000. So Farouk Mia. So now here we do have our very own Ugandans. We think we'll have, okay, no, wait and see the pure love that is going to be shown to him than Tanzania. That's part of the reaction that is ongoing in regards to him. He's been unveiled, or at least there's a photo trending of him in a young Africans jersey there. Apparently, he has joined on a 3-year deal in a to be he's put pen to paper on a 3-year deal there in making that move. Congratulations to you, Alan Okello, on that move. We wish you the best of luck, and may you continue to lift the Ugandan flag high in regards to being quite the export of or quite the footballing export. Now, speaking of Ugandan transfers, apparently a tax club called Trabzonspor are also ready to pay about 1.5 million euros to FK Vada for Uganda Cranes star Rogers Mato. Rogers Mato is one of those very, very exciting players in the Uganda Cranes setup. Then, still speaking transfers, the game between Egypt and Cote d'Ivoire is still ongoing, and Egypt continue with leading the game by 3 goals to 2. We are in around the 88th minute mark. So yeah, missing match there. Now, Arsenal's Ethan Wanyeri apparently has turned down a lot of loan offers to stay at the club. I do not know whether it's not because he's not been given the right project, or Arsenal are reluctant to let him go. But he is expected to be a part of the team when they take on Portsmouth in the FA Cup this weekend. That game will be coming in tomorrow. So, So yeah, that is part of what is that's part of what is happening in the transfer world, and of course, Manchester City, Liverpool, Bayern Munich remain interested in Crystal Palace's McKay. Yesterday we spoke about him in reference to the interest that Arsenal hold in him, and that interest is as concrete itself. So it's been there for quite some time. Apparently, Andre Butter has spoken to his representatives, and the player, according to reports, is that he's interested in staying at Crystal Palace to see out the remainder of his contract and weigh his options in the summer. And according to those reports, he's tilting towards Liverpool and Arsenal more than he is to Manchester City. So that's there. That's there. That's a part of what is ongoing. So yeah, and according to Sky Sport, is a Kev, Kave Solako. He did say, and this I quote, I've got a funny feeling McKay may end up at Arsenal. That's a Kave Solako. Speaking about that proposed move for McKay, and apparently Mikel Arteta does love the player, and he says he will be pivotal to his project, even in the presence of William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. So we just have to wait and see. We just have to wait and see. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So, guys, in the coming days, particularly next week, take note of that. If you do not see me on your screens, for as long as I'm alive, it will be due to an internet shutdown. There's a huge, huge possibility that will happen in the course of next week. I do not know starting when and ending when, but there's an overwhelming expectation that will be the case. So, in case I'm absent, unfortunately, unlike those that use BitChat and other, platforms, we cannot access YouTube without internet. So yeah, and we do not have Starlink. In any case, Starlink itself was asked to block its usage in Uganda. So that's what you should expect to happen. Anyways, we are drawing closer and closer to the end of that game between Cote d'Ivoire and Egypt. Ah, you don't know. You don't know. All right. All right. So, yeah, we're into the fourth minute of stoppage time. 5 minutes were added, and Egypt continued to hold strong. They continue to hold on strong for more of what's to come. Ivory Coast players on the technical bench losing their hope and patience that they can salvage this. I mean, it will be quite the twist of events if they were able to force a draw in 90 minutes and send the game into extra time. And what a huge motivation that would be if it were to be the case, if it were to be the case. But yeah, we are drawing closer and closer to the finish of that game. Egypt still leading by 3-2. Omar Mamosh in the 4th minute, Remy Rabia in the 32nd minute, and Mohamed Salah in the 52nd minute are there. While an own goal by Ahmed Abou El Fatour in the 40th minute gave Ivory Coast their first consolation before Guerra Doe in the 73rd minute. El Shanawi got himself a booking for time wasting. I mean, anything to see out the remainder of this game, they will do. Even if it means faking injuries, even if it means forcing certain situations, yeah, it will all happen. Egypt may as well defend with all 10 men. May as well defend with all 10 men. They'll be quite calling for that final whistle to come. Egyptian players on the technical bench waiting to celebrate, waiting to run onto the turf to celebrate their advancement to the semi-finals. Football is such a nervous sport. You literally hold your breath. And yeah, it's all over. Egypt are through 3-2, winning 3-2 against Ivory Coast. The reigning champions are out. I've said this before. It's not easy to win this tournament back to back. Among the countries that have done it before is Cameroon in 2000 and in 2002. Then Egypt did it 3 times, winning it back to back. That's in 2006, 2008, and 2010. That's when they won it back to back. So you may struggle to find another country that's ever done that before. But yeah, congratulations to the Pharaohs of Egypt for advancing to the the semi-finals of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Okay, let's look at what's to come tomorrow in as far as your action to anticipated is concerned. In the Spanish La Liga, Rayo Vallecano will be up against Mallorca. Levante take on Espanyol, but at 10 p.m., Barcelona will be up against Real Madrid. In the Spanish Super Cup, Borussia Mönchengladbach will take on Augsburg, or Bayern Munich will be up against VfB Wolfsburg. Will be up against Wolfsburg there. And then in the Italian Serie A, Lecce will be taking on Parma. Fiorentina will take on AC Milan. Hellas Verona will be up against Lazio, while at a quarter to 11 p.m., Inter Milan will be up against Napoli. In the FA Cup at 3 p.m., Derby County will take on Leeds United. At 5 p.m., Arsenal will take on Portsmouth, while Hull City will be up against Blackburn Rovers. And Norwich City will take on Walsall at 5 p.m., as is the game between Hull City and Blackburn Rovers, as well as Sheffield United against Mansfield Town, and then Swansea City up against West Bromwich Albion, and West Ham against QPR. The late kickoff for the FA Cup will come between Manchester United and Brighton at 7:30 p.m. So that's what you should expect in some of the key fixtures for you to come. But Barcelona up against Real Madrid, that's an El Clasico to watch. And then Inter Milan against Napoli, very, very key fixture to look forward to, especially in the context of what the standings look like at the summit of the Italian Serie A, where Inter Milan lead after 18 games played. They've lost 4 games. They've not drawn a single game. They've won 14. They lead with 42 points. AC Milan comes second with 39 points. AC Roma with 39 points. But AC Roma have played 20 games, 2 more than the top 2 teams. Napoli, 38 points in 4th place. 18 games played. Juventus, 19 games played, 36 points. Como in 6th place with 34 points after 19 games are played. So that's a little bit of a look of things in as far as the Italian Serie A is concerned. Bena says, yes, subscribe. That's for 68 subscribers. Please, bro. Will do. Thank you so much. Otherwise, allow me to wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Pedri, for having been part of this broadcast. Thank you so much, Samira. Thank you so much, LFC, and every single one of you that made it tonight. I wish you a blessed night, and let's link up again tomorrow at 11 p.m. Remember, we do not do a morning broadcast on Sunday. So stay blessed and have yourselves a wonderful night. Bye-bye for now.